Joining us now, Minnesota Senator Tina Smith. All right, Senator, thank you for being here. The governor has been clear. He believes that this is ICE's fault, that this was not an act of self-defense. The mayor said the same thing. They're calling it a narrative that is coming out of the administration. They're calling it BS. What do you see?
Well, I mean, I saw a woman in Minneapolis in her car, shot and killed by ICE agents. And the tragedy of this is almost beyond comprehension. And of course, I mean, I hate to say it, but this is not surprising. When you surge in over 2,000 ICE agents into a community, and the impact of that is to cause chaos and fear, and people feel less safe because they are less safe. And that all came to bear this morning in my hometown of Minneapolis, where this woman was shot and killed. And I know this community well. I live in Minneapolis, just a few miles from where this incident happened. My kids live in Minneapolis, and to think about the pain that this community has been through and to have this happen. And then to have the Secretary Noem, declare, show me the evidence after just a couple of minutes, that this is an act of domestic terrorism is just beyond irresponsible and absolutely heartbreaking to my community.
So the FBI has been on the scene. There is talk that the FBI will work with local law enforcement in order to investigate. Are you confident that the FBI can investigate DHS?
Listen, I have a lot of confidence in the career professionals at the FBI, the folks in the field office in Minneapolis, and I am encouraged and hopeful that a joint investigation led jointly by the State Bureau of Criminal Apprehension and the FBI can get to the bottom of this, and that we can have justice, particularly for the family of this woman who just so chaotically have lost someone that they loved so dearly. So I think it's extremely important to me, and this is a message that I've already delivered to the folks at the FBI and to Department of Homeland Security, that we want to see that kind of joint effort, and I want to see exactly what it is that is causing Secretary Noem to declare that this was an act of self-defense and this woman was a domestic terrorist, when we can clearly see from the video out there, so far at least, that that has nothing to do with what actually happened on the ground.
It appears people are throwing snowballs right now, potentially toward law enforcement, which is walking away. Do we still have Alex Tabbitt with us?
Well,
we don't have Alex. We don't have our reporter on the ground, so I can't fully confirm. It's a wide shot, and I've got a very small monitor. But Senator,
I just wanted to say that it's interesting what you just said, because what those well-trained Minneapolis Police Department officers did is, rather than escalate a conflict, they apparently, according to what you saw in the video, de-escalated, and they walked away, which is exactly what these ICE agents haven't done. In fact, the complete lack of training when you see these videos makes you just really wonder whether they aren't in fact trying to escalate. Now, I'm not trying to impugn motives to anybody, but I'm just observing that how important it is that you have well-trained professionals in these situations.
Yeah, that is what we're seeing. We've zoomed in closer. It is snowballs being thrown at local law enforcement, maybe potentially FBI agents too, but as you said, they are not engaging. They're walking away. The community has had a rocky relationship with the police in the aftermath of George Floyd. Has the relationship with the police recovered in the years since that?
Well, I would describe it as a work in process, a work in progress. And I do believe that there has been progress. Outside folks, as well as people in the community, I believe would say the same thing. But it's, as you say, this tragic incident with ICE is really only a few blocks from where George Floyd was murdered just a few years ago. And so there is an element of kind of almost PTSD and shared trauma that I think the people who live in and around this neighborhood are no doubt experiencing today. And I want to just add my voice to say that in this moment, what we need to do in my community is to come together as community and to practice to fully exercise and use our voices, but to not engage in the kinds of escalatory behavior that led exactly to this terrible tragedy today.
Is there anger toward local law enforcement about what federal law enforcement is doing?
You know, I was talking to people who were on the ground today that were in the crowd as this terrible shooting took place, and what they told me is that there's a pretty clear understanding amongst the folks that are out there. They understand the difference between these federal immigration folks, ICE, and the local law enforcement, Minneapolis Police Department, and I believe the Hennepin County Sheriff is there, and there may be other local law enforcement as well to try to kind of protect the evidence of this terrible shooting and keep people safe. So I think that there is a good understanding on the ground of the difference there and not conflating these two different law enforcement groups.
Senator, the reason immigration enforcement has been surged there is because of the fraud investigation. The president is using it as a reason to go and target communities, including the Somali community. What has the fraud investigation, the fraud charges, the fraud convictions, what has that done, politically speaking? Well,
so I think there are two issues here. One is the sort of the lie, honestly, that you need to surge immigration enforcement into Minneapolis and St. Paul to deal with illegal immigration in the Somali community, when we know full well that the vast majority of people of Somali heritage and background are American citizens. And in fact, many of them were born in the United States. So that is completely a red herring. On the question of fraud, I mean, it is extremely important that we have zero tolerance for fraud and that we get after this illegal behavior. And I have seen so much about what the state is currently doing, and there's more to be done to make sure that those people who have taken advantage of the taxpayers are held accountable. But these two things are being conflated by the Trump administration as an excuse, as a distraction for bringing these 2,000 immigration enforcement folks into the city of Minneapolis, and they need to stop it. They should get those folks out of there because it's hurting people's safety, not contributing to their safety.
All right, Senator Tina Smith, thank you very much for being with us.